Talk radio.
So yeah, just give me a little bit more than talk radio.
I'll give you some more juice.
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. Welcome to the Damaged Goods podcast with your hosts, Ill Vibe and Jess Robert. I'd like to say a quick hello to my mom, who has recently got Facebook and will probably be seeing these posts. My mom resisted Facebook for a long time, but finally she did it, to my dismay, because
Can we say chagrin, or is that
chagrin?
I don't know. I don't know if it's full on chagrin, but
I don't know if it's chagrin. Okay. But either way, hi mom. If you're listening to this podcast, stop right now because you will hear things you do not want to hear, probably.
we have a clear NMA policy here. No moms allowed.
No moms allowed.
Moms, please leave now.
Yes. But for everyone else,
This is like a
thanks so much.
spoiler alert. We're going to spoil your life if you stick around.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Spoil your heart.
Yeah.
But everybody else who's not my mom, thanks for listening. Big favor.
Do not go anywhere.
Do not go anywhere. Big favor. Support us on whatever platform you're listening on. So follow, subscribe, like, favorite, whatever the thing is. Do the thing, please. You can check us out on our socials at Damaged Goods Pod. Myself at 4, Jess Robert, and Ill Vibe at Ill Vibe. Thank you as usual to lyricvids.com, the web's #1 lyric video animation company. And we have some new stuff in the studio today, right?
So before we get into talking to our esteemed guest, we'll talk in a second and find out how esteemed he is. But I have stuff. I'm back from tour and we have stuff to show and I want to document it. So the first thing is my man at the Chopper Man, who's a dope line artist. As you can see, Logan, you're up close. You can see it's all done with straight lines.
Yeah.
That's badass, eh?
That's great.
So the Chopper Man is one of these really fire fan art accounts on Instagram, and he's a big fan of stand-up comedy and podcasts. So I found out about him because he likes all the same stuff I like. So he does like line drawings of Bobby Lee and of Tony Hinchcliffe and all of these comedians that we're big fans of. And as I saw them reposting his work, I was like, damn, I wish we were famous enough that people drew fan art of us like that. I have one piece of fan art in my whole life. That physical. I've had a couple of digitals, but so I reached out to him, and he straight up was like, he had just done one for Chris D'Elia that he reposted and stuff. So he was like, I'm busy. I can't take any more work on right now. And then I saw him post that he was doing his taxes, and he's just like, oh, the accountant screwed me, and I fucking slid in, and I was just like,
hey, you need that money?
You need that money now?
Sure, you don't need that money?
So we can help. So it's not full on fan art because I hired him, but my man at
a commissioned fan.
Commissioned fan art. He'd never heard of me. He's not a fan. Commissioned man art.
Man art, yeah.
He's a man. He made this art, but it's really, really fire, and it's going to go up here in the studio. And the second is a gift from my friends in the Wisconsin area. It's a beer koozie, and I never drink bottles of beer. Is it cozy? I always pronounce it as koozie.
No, it's not like a jacuzzi.
Is koozie racist?
No, but it kind of sounds like a... Don't call me that, though.
You're such a koozie. But yes, this is my beer cozy from Milwaukee. The Milwaukee show was the best stop on the tour by a huge margin. Second place is Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to them. We'll talk more about that later. But I just wanted to draw attention to some of the new stuff that's in the studio as we add to our shrine of life and joy.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I got for you.
Our guest today came all the way from Kingston, right?
Perth.
Perth, which is near Kingston? Or?
It's like the Kingston for Kingston. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we think about Kingston being like cool, but pretty far away. That's how they talk about Perth.
Oh, yes.
I just made that up.
He's a recording artist as well as a fellow podcaster with his hit podcast, Brown Sound Podcast. And he is Logan Brown.
Hey, the one person standing ovation. I like it. And you sat down for it too.
Welcome, Logan. Thanks for coming through the spot.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're a regular sized fan.
Yeah.
I just met Logan for the first time in real life, but he's one of the guys where I was sure we had met in person before because we chat once a week for 4 years or whatever, and as you start to assume this is somebody that you know, you just can't remember where you met them.
Yeah.
Where did you guys meet?
Well, I don't know.
No, but where did you guys
on the internet?
A Facebook friend, Joel Sned. Shout out to Joel. I'm coming for the Mighty Rhino. Shout out. Shout out to Joel Snedden.
First of all, we put up some. There's new regulations in place since that episode. You couldn't even if you tried. There's robots. They'll mute you and blur your face.
That's funny. Shout out to regulations.
Joel is one of those people who, like, I hesitate to call him a fan because it's the relationship's different than that. I'm not that famous that it's like, I don't know who these people are who support me. He's just like a guy who's a supporter, right? He's a supporter for a really long time. And man, I have like 30 good supporters, and Joel was fully in that fucking circle. So shout out to Joel and for linking me up with cool people like you.
Yeah.
So often the lesson on this podcast is while you're trying to do one thing, what ends up happening is you meet cool people along the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how long have you been podcasting for?
I just had my podiversary, my year podiversary, like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it was sweet.
So you're a little bit after us, but not long.
Yeah, no, not that long.
Because I think I just got my Instagram reminder of a year ago, and a year ago yesterday we put out episode 8. So we're kind of like just
Oh, that's sweet.
We're a year and a bit.
a year and like 2 months, I think. So babies.
Yeah. You do one a week or one every 2 weeks or?
That's a problematic question, sir. I wish you wouldn't bring it up right on the podcast. No. So what we say is one a week ish.
Yeah.
We strive for one a week, but we don't beat ourselves up if it doesn't happen.
Because through the winter and when we're around, there's no problem.
Yeah.
Things get a little crazy when music conference time comes.
Yeah.
Because I've got 4 trips out of the country in 4 months.
Yeah.
For at least a week.
Yeah.
So that automatically kills 1 episode a month. And then I get back, and Jess has been dying running lyricvids.com without me, like legit just like drowning in work. And so I get back and we just like frantically get caught up. So we've even been taking a week after the trips off. So we're down to 2 episodes a month right now. Yeah. But I think what I'd like to do is have this podcast, and maybe we can talk more about this because I think this is what I love about you, is I want the podcast to live and breathe and be a part of us. And therefore, the podcast benefits from the fact that we travel the world. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it benefits from the cool people that we meet when we travel. And it benefits from the fact that our brands, and I hate saying that, but fuck it, you know what I mean? Like continue to grow as we travel and build. It's kind of
true. If we spend a week doing nothing and then we podcast again, what are we going to talk about on that episode? You know what I mean? Like,
comedian Ari Shafir once said he had been working like 365 days a year for 10 years to make it. And then he made it. We had nothing left to fucking talk about. Yeah. Because all he'd been doing was trying to make it. And there's nothing, you can't write jokes about trying to make it all the time. Yeah. So he just took 6 months off work, told his agent, who is of course crying at this point because he's making $10,000 a night. What do you mean you're going to take 6 months off? Yeah. You just cost us $4.8 million or whatever, you know what I mean? And he just traveled with no cell phone, no computer, no anything, because he needed a whole bunch of life experience to refuel the tank. And I think he was also probably having some spiritual stuff he was dealing with. But hell, like,
I could totally see that.
But similarly for us, like when I travel, I get the same thing. I get a little bit like, oh, something to bring back to the podcast, and a little bit like, that's why I'm happy, because I do the podcast and then I go on the road and I see shit and I live and I come home exhausted and then we podcast again. You know?
Even with comedy writing, I find that working from home is probably not great for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had so many more stories about people and about different things that happened when I worked in fucking retail. You know what I mean? I worked at like a weird costume store. So it's like you have so many different stories. Whereas working from home at the computer, it's like our day to day is pretty similar.
This is Jess at a comedy show. So you guys remember Anthony, right? From last week? That's my husband. He said some more shit this week.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, we started to know this guy.
About my day job.
What about you? So are you weekly?
Yeah, I'm weekly. But like, see, I want the podcast to be more my main thing than music, because I find music is very like so up in the air. I mean, to pay the bills, like there's a passion project of like wanting to get your original music out there and then get them sweet SoCan checks. Yeah. But it's usually just kind of playing pubs and everything to fund that endeavor. So I really like the idea of just kind of sitting and bullshitting. And I love the idea of stand-up comedy. Like I would love to start doing that. So I mean, sitting in front of a, computer every week and then coming up with material. I find that the podcast has really helped me like analyze like regular shit, of course, and then just try and make fun of that. So
all of our favorite comedians, who are some of your favorite comedians?
Man,
who right now strikes you as like hot and funny?
Krista Lee is my guy. Cool. Yeah, Krista Lee is my guy. I like people that are mean in a funny way. Sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't like roasting. I
like Jeselnik as well then, or no?
You know what? I never got into Jeselnik. Not
similar vibe, but I know what you mean in terms of cool.
So I have an announcement to make. Usually it's always your announcement.
Please.
So we watch the show Hot Ones on YouTube. Have you ever seen that show?
Oh,
so
yeah.
The show with lukewarm wings and even more lukewarm questions.
Yes. So basically the premise of the show, if you don't know it, is they interview celebrities, recording artists, actors, all that stuff, and they, between questions, serve them hotter and hotter and hotter wings, and they have to try and struggle through the questions. So I saw in this comedian group that I'm in that there was a show looking for female comedians, a show in Hamilton called The Hot Five, which is a similar thing where they give you like hotter than suicide wings. So they said, warning, they're very hot. And this actual sauce is on the show Hot Ones. It's right before, do you know the show that well?
Yeah.
You know, the bomb, the one that everyone freaks out on. It's the one just before that.
Which, to be fair, usually people are like, I like this one, but right before Devon changes their fucking day.
Yeah. So it won't make me like instantly shit my pants. But
No, but you're definitely going to be having burning face mode.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have to do your 5 minutes of comedy
while your face
is burning. Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah,
it's a good chance to try to like stay focused with your eye on the prize. So when's that?
So that is Tuesday, May 21st at 8 p.m. in Hamilton at Levity Comedy Club.
I think right now our episodes are coming out late enough that that event may have already happened. But I still think that because we've got it right now, I think we're living on like a 2-week delay from an episode to when it comes out. But I do think our listeners, right from the beginning of Jess even saying she was thinking about starting to get into comedy, to her saying she did her first comedy show, to her now she's beginning to be like, there's a comedy show that people could come to. People are following the growth.
Yeah.
So you have aspirations of being a comedian as well, or no?
Fuck yeah. No, that was my first thing. I was told by a family member that I'm not very funny. I mean, everybody has these fucking stories as an artist, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm gonna be this guy, and then your dad's like, no.
Your family's too close to you to tell you what you can and can't.
They're not the people to make that call.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with music or anything else where there's a little bit of an illusion required, and they know too much for the illusion to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, don't worry about them.
It's funny.
You strike me as a comedian, actually. I like
Thanks,
you.
man.
You have comedian energy for me.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. My mom has this constant thing where she always calls me like lazy, like she thinks that I'm like, because I'm her daughter and like I am pretty messy, I guess, but like she has this thing where she's just like, oh, like you're, and I'm like, literally my friends know me as like the hardest working person.
I think
know.
it's the thing. It's a thing that she's been stuck on since you probably were lazy as a teenager.
And I am still like, in some ways I'm still lazy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you do sleep in. She does just leave piles of things places. So but
I'm more messy than lazy.
Yeah, you're a little bit more messy than
I would
lazy,
go out every single day. If someone's like, hey, do you want to go for a walk? I'd be like, yes. You know what I mean? So I'm not lazy. Like as far as
when required, you ante up without a complaint.
Yeah.
Like at lyric vids, you ante up without a complaint. And some of those days can get pretty ruthless. Yeah. So mom's wrong about lazy, but she is right if she means messy.
My point by saying that was that your parents and your family and stuff are too close to you to see your growth for like what it is and like what your potential is in certain types of careers.
My family was always supportive of my music. Like definitely like go get it.
Yeah.
But it felt like they didn't see me as anything special, like my music as anything like noteworthy, until some undeniable things happen. Like when your song's on a TV show, my dad was able to be like, oh, that only happens if you're pretty good. And so I started hearing things about my dad would say about how I'm a really good artist. I never heard that before ever. Like he supported, like go get it. I love like he loved that I did it. But I never heard him telling anybody about it or like complimenting it. He's also kind of a stoic old Italian man. But, but I think he just saw me as he heard me rapping in the next room, and it's like one of those things where if somebody gains weight but you see them every day, you can't tell, you know, that old thing, or like, it's like, well, you see me practice every day and you're like, oh, he's practicing again. You don't realize I'm actually better than the rapper you hear on the radio now after all those days of practice.
I'm guessing you didn't get this because you moved out so young, but did you ever get like okay, now time to like focus on a real career? Yeah.
So no, I moved out young, but
how young?
16.
16? Oh, that's...
Yeah, I ran away. Yeah.
Ooh.
I ran away and stayed away. Isn't that crazy? And then I went back home at 18. So the thing with that is I did go back home at 18 years old because my parents were splitting up and they thought that like the runaway kid coming home might be just what was required to like keep the family together.
That's a lot of pressure.
I was 18 at that point.
Okay.
And I was also like, I mean, like the quick way is I was always like a bright kid. and an emotionally developed kid. Like I was living on my own, working a full-time job, managing a place, selling drugs and maintaining my education all at the same time when I moved home at 18. So I was like, I wasn't a man yet because I was still making bad decisions, but I was definitely like, I don't remember the pressure aspect. Like I was up to the task, if that makes sense. Like I didn't feel like, oh no, they're putting a lot on me. It made sense. Like I'll go home and they'll be glad I'm home. What was I getting at here?
If they acted like time to focus on a new
yes,
career.
that's right. So now I am back home at 18 and there was a lot of turmoil because they were in the middle of splitting up while I was home. So like, and I didn't stop it. It turns out I didn't stop it. So in between the spurts of when they were worried about each other, there still was a lot of like, Anthony, go do something with your life.
Yeah.
Because I was a bit of a loser at that point. I would sleep all day. I remember I got a job at Old Navy because this was the closest business to my home by like feet. It was like the closest place I could go. So even if I had to get a job, I was going to basically not get a job. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So it's like very different than what people would describe me right now. And it took me a long time to go from that to what I am now. But yeah, they were pretty concerned about me because I went from being a straight A student to a pothead who basically slept all day and had no ambitions in like 4 years. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of concern at 10 Harrison Crescent.
What was your did you go to college or?
No. I did a victory lap in high school, and I did my first semesters, the first 5 months. I did recording engineering at Napanee. They don't like black people there. And,
wow, you just slid that in there like you could do that.
I didn't know till I showed up. And then 5 months after that, my next semester was radio and development. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So that was my schooling. It was cool. Like, I mean, like I grew up in Odessa, which is like fucking.
I've seen it on the highway signs.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of farms, so it's like a cool place for people that it's surprisingly a cool place for people that want to be kind of creative in like a weird way. We had this one guy who was teaching at the high school. His name was Mr. Firth, and he had this huge red beard, and he was the
Firth cut is the deepest.
Yeah.
Sorry. I had to make one pun. Keep going.
And he was like, man, he was so fucking weird. So he's like a Sherlock Holmes type guy. Like, you know how Sherlock Holmes isn't actually a detective. He's just a really smart fucking dude that they're like, okay, come in and solve these murders and stop that guy. Anyways, he was a inventor that the school board was just like, we just have a shit ton of money that we want to pile into a teacher. Like, let's get that guy. Let's get the dude who looks like fucking Ginger Moses.
Amazing.
And so he was like, he started this, it's called Green Tech. So you had Wood Tech, Shop, which was like, what are they? It's working on vehicles or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was Green Tech. In Green Tech, we just talked about gorillas and made solar-powered hot dog cookers using blank CDs.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it was unfucking real.
Yeah.
So it was, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so it was just a great place to be creative. And then they had all these focus programs where you could go to and like, you could learn how to shoot a gun, you could learn how to be like a cop. It was pretty much anything that anybody wanted like a specialist and high skills major in, you could kind of do it.
I always think it's interesting to think about why one town is more creative than another town is, or more intense, or more problematic, or the things that you have experienced going to a place and you're like, wow, this place is a little rougher than this last town I was in or whatever. And in some cases you get there and it's like, wow, what an artistic community here. Then when it's a big city, I think a lot of the time, well, no, I was about to say the big cities and small towns are different, but maybe it's not that different. The point I'm making is this. What starts that? Like, what makes Peterborough kind of an artsy place? Because everywhere around Peterborough is not that artsy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for people who live anywhere else, Peterborough essentially is like a somewhat forgettable little town. Like, it's a small city with, what I mean by forgettable is there's no like pro sports team there. There's no like destination tourism that happens there, but I spent a little bit of time there from going on tour and meeting people, and it has this like really intense arts community. And so what starts that? What makes that community more?
It's kind of like that too.
Totally. Yeah. Is it? And so here's my theory that's completely unprovable until I have some way smarter than me historian on the podcast. Maybe that's you. Is it like one person who comes along who's just like, they become like a gravitational force of like creativity, and so they live in that community, and so they do like 3 or 4 or 5 things.
Yeah.
And then they spur another person to like, hey, people really love the way that old lady whatever is always throwing these art
Yeah.
classes.
I think that's-
maybe I'll do the same thing, and you starts to congeal. Do you
I think
maybe
that
that's
is
what it
part of it. I'm sure there's other reasons as well, but that's part of it because I have a specific example of that, and that's my friend Vivian. She started a program called Youth Inc. or whatever, like Youth Inc. I'm sure there's like a million programs around the world
Youth
called
Inc?
that. Yeah,
Youth
exactly.
Inc.
But basically,
I
it
love
was partially in partnership with like the newspaper, like the Welland
I thought you were gonna say
Tribune
the
or
X-Men.
whatever. Yeah, the X-Men.
Okay. Sorry.
And so the newspaper would like publish articles that like young people wrote or publish artwork or publish poems and stuff. But then it kind of became like its own thing where we would throw music festivals.
Yeah, it
we
became like a
would make
platform.
like zines. There was like a place in the Seaway Mall that had like basically like stuff that people wrote, like either poetry or stories or drawings and stuff published in little books that people would like rent out. And like it was just like, and then Vivian got older and started moving on to more like adult art things. And then that whole generation that was like really young, kind of like preteens who grew up with that kind of went on to do their own art things. And then it just kind of now everybody I know from Welland is some kind of artist in some form or like improv.
It's like how dandelions
actor or
spread, you know,
something.
where it's like there's
Yeah.
the one, and then when it eventually matures, they all spread everywhere, and then there are like 100 more dandelions.
Yeah.
That's how creativity is born in places.
Yes.
Because when you tour around, my favorite places to go on tour are small markets. I talk a lot about this on social media, maybe even on this podcast. Because big markets, you're a drop in the bucket. They had a show here last night. They're still tired from that one. There's a Grammy-winning artist from town, and you ain't him.
Yeah.
There's other tourist options, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you get to a small market, and there's nothing else happening that night. The last rap show was 4 weeks ago. And they're hyped to have you. Like, people who don't know you, they never met you, they never heard of you. They're there because their friend's performing, and they're like, shit, you're here from Toronto? They want to buy you drinks, and it's like this whole vibe. But the reason that those small markets even have hip-hop, even support me to come through, is usually one or two people act as this like dandelion.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Since they love music so much, they're willing to take risk on to make this little town, Dayton, Ohio, a destination that otherwise wouldn't be a destination. You would go to Cleveland, you would go to Columbus, Ohio, and probably drive right around Dayton, the third biggest city.
Yeah.
But there's a guy there named Chris Daly who just basically is willing to take the risk and be the guy so that there's some gravitational force and reason to go to this not a little town, it's a big city, but it's the third biggest city in their state or whatever. Anyways, I think that's the thing I think about whenever I drive through one of these places and you're like, shit, this has got a thriving music community in this tiny little town. You're like, it probably started with one badass promoter. You know what I mean? It was
Or
just
boredom.
like,
Boredom will do it too.
yeah, but why that versus drugs? Because the next town over, they're all just doing meth.
Yeah.
In this town, they have a music festival and, you know, I mean, all these things. Santa
Yeah.
Cruz. If you go in California, there's a million cities on that coastline.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz is more artistic than the one directly to the north and directly to the south. And it's smaller than both of them. And I think it's probably just because there was one awesome bar that threw great concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you create a whole generation of people who want to throw parties. And then before you know it, you've got a town full of people who value events and entrepreneurial art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like a bar close down and literally like ruin the scene in like a city? Because it's like nobody else wants to take the risk on throwing those shows, and then it's like literally the momentum is gone.
For hip hop, that is the story of the last 15 years.
No, yeah, I've seen that as well.
London, Ontario.
I was going to say London, but yeah.
Call the Office was the biggest rap shows when I was a young artist touring around. And then I remember when I got to the level that I could book Call the Office, I reached out to them and they said, sorry, this is our last season of doing hip hop shows. We're not booking anymore.
Wow.
And I remember thinking like, wow. And that started a wave of that response.
Yeah.
And I heard that for the next 10 years where it's like, the Rivoli just told me that, bro. The fucking Rivoli just told me, sorry, we don't book straight rap shows like that. And someone else told me it's a lie, but I think it's just when like, if it's booked with a DJ and there's one, it's like, I don't know. But ours was a hip hop concert and they just said, they took one look at the poster and they said, not only did they say that, it was already booked. The date was announced.
Yeah.
And they took one look at the poster and they said, sorry, someone should have told you we don't do hip hop concerts here. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, motherfucker, like, especially if you go to one of my parties, it's way more like industry contacts and like friends than it is hooligans fighting out front. Like, that's not the energy at all.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm getting off track. But yes, the answer is yes, it happens constantly.
Yeah. I remember we had this venue. Sorry, I keep reminiscing about Welland. We had this venue in Welland called Oddfellows.
Welland is a suburb of Niagara Falls.
Yes.
I'm just trying to place it on the map for people who live anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
it's
pretty
my
small
hometown.
town, right? Like, what's population, do you know?
52?
People?
1,000.
Okay.
And you grew up there?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
sweet.
where I grew up. Yeah. So usually to
Ever
people,
since you left, it's 51 people.
I say Niagara Falls to people just in case they wouldn't know because it's like right next to Niagara
Falls.
The Falls. But yeah, there was this place called Oddfellows, and it was literally just a room. Like there was nothing else. There was no bar. Obviously, we would like sneak alcohol in and stuff. It was a room that was behind us, like a abandoned strip club. It wasn't even like a current strip club. But,
a room behind an abandoned strip club. It sounds like where you get murdered.
They would order a pizza. They would order cases of pop and stuff because it was I don't know if it was all ages or they just didn't have a liquor license. And we would get like really sweaty. This is when it was like hardcore like metal shows.
Grosser and grosser.
But when that venue closed, they changed it to a quote unquote better venue, but it was too big. Do you know what I mean? Like the venue was too big, and it's like they had like staff there who would be like, "What are you guys doing?" And like it wasn't as easy to like sneak stuff in and like party, and it just had a completely different vibe, and it just like ruined the scene for at least a few years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was talking with somebody, I think last night about this. What makes a bar hot? Because, you know.
Did you understand the thing I said about it being too big?
Yes.
Have you ever had a venue be too big?
Yes, again, as a live act.
It ruins everything.
When I'm booking a venue, sometimes the guy's like, oh, even to be honest, my June 21st show, June 21st, Hard Luck Bar. Hard Luck Bar is pretty big.
Yeah.
Now, he's promised me that even when half full, the way that it's built, it doesn't look empty because there's like wings and like spaces that's like, if that's not full, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And that there's like a main area that if you fill that, it will look great. But at first I was hesitant because I'm like, don't give me a spot that holds 400 people.
Yeah.
I'm going to draw 150, which is a banging party, but not in a room that holds 400. It's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want a room that holds 200. It's the perfect
People
size.
are like in weird pockets in different areas.
No, it feels like
it
it feels like the beginning of the prom when not everyone's there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And you don't want to make eye contact with anybody yet.
Yeah.
Because no one's drank Mickey's in the bathroom yet.
Yeah.
You know, Blake isn't there with Blake's older brother is, you know.
Like never liked girls like me. So,
But anyway, so there's a venue in Toronto called The Boat. Is that the shitty place I hate?
that's the one in Kensington. I don't know if it's shitty and
it's
you hate
shitty
it.
and I hate it.
Why?
It's shitty and I hate it.
The floor was wet that one time we were there.
The floor is always sticky and gross.
Oh, you'd hate Kingston, man.
Oh no, yeah. All of Kingston is sticky.
You would hate it.
And it's themed like you're inside a boat,
Yeah.
but not like cool.
Yeah. Not like Step Brothers, I'm on a
No,
boat. More
like a dance at an old folks home.
For the record, I like it a lot.
Okay, of course you do, and we're gonna get to that. But so it's decorated like a boat themed dance at an old folks home.
Yeah.
Sticky floors. It kind of stinks. It sort of feels like a gymnasium in a really small school.
Yeah.
That's
And
my
it's-
jam.
And the DJ, the 2 nights I've been there, was atrocious. The one night we were like LOLing, like, what's the worst song he could play? And then he would like drop that song.
Sweet.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember looking around and then it got so busy.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? What makes that place busy versus one down the street that maybe, because there's also a shitty place down the street, but let's not talk about them.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the city, down the street, is a place with a good DJ with a much less weird and random theme than like these like weird boat portals on the wall.
Well, one thing I'll say,
it's empty as fuck.
One thing I'll say about the boat is that it was popular when I first moved here. So one reason might be just consistency. They might have the same dance night every Friday or whatever.
Oh, so you're saying because they've been so consistent, they've built up a following.
I don't know if that's the case. I just guess.
Nobody here's from the boat, right? Unless I misunderstood your investments. I'm just curious. What do you think makes in a thought experiment where there's a venue on this end of the street? It's called The Boat, and way down here is this other place, and it's called 5-9 Club or whatever, right? Yeah. Why is this place slamming and this place not? If so often 98% of the variables are really the same.
I think almost like trying.
In the boat's case, they're really not making great choices. So
what's the clientele too? Sorry, go on.
Well, it was university kids. And not just, but it felt like there was a lot of university kids there the night I was there.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a mix.
There was, because I was also joking that there were random old people there.
Yeah,
too.
there was
sailors though, because that would make sense.
Not sailers. I
wish I would go there all the time.
If there were sailors, I'd actually be in.
That'd be so dope.
Because down here on the Danforth, there's a cool like beach themed bar. We've never gone in there. It's called like
the Tiki one, is it?
The Tiki bar.
I love it. I've
and
gone
it's
in there.
never busy when I walk by.
I'm busy.
Oh yeah, okay. When I may be at the wrong time of day
with sailors.
Yes, with sailors.
Okay, sick.
I guess, and we're never gonna get to this answer. And I actually like you're being silly because I'm not getting anywhere.
I was gonna go arg, and then I realized sailors aren't pirates.
Oh, you guys are lying to me. There's no sailors.
No, there are no sailors. And actually, it's really important you don't call sailors pirates.
Yeah, I know it's definitely not okay.
Not okay. Speaking of not okay, you made a comment earlier, and it's never even occurred to me to wonder this, but I am curious. Do you identify as a person of color?
I identify as me, and I happen to be a person.
Okay,
of color,
so yeah,
not that I'm like
because you're
annoying
quite
as
light
shit about
skinned.
it.
So
Yeah.
from the internet, never once did it occur to me what race you might be.
Yeah.
And then you made a statement earlier that they hate black people, so I was like, oh, he means him, and it had never once occurred to me what race you might be.
Yeah. I don't think about it when I'm in places like Toronto.
Sure.
I'm not black.
Sure.
I'm not black here, but in places like Perth and Odessa, like
You stand out enough that you feel it.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Interesting.
So, it's
Do you ever think of relocating to a big city because of that? I imagine that happens a lot.
no, it's swell being the token black guy.
You don't mind it.
Yeah, it's just in like Perth and Lanark, and
I like it.
Oh yeah, the McDonald's Corners strip. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, no, I'm half black. Like my mom's black. She's light skinned.
Sure.
I should do the 23andMe actually now that I think about it, because my mom's adopted, and we've actually been thinking more and more. Like I'm just going through Netflix comedy specials. We happened on Joe Coy, and I said, that motherfucker looks like me. And then I was like, Joe Coy looks like me. Oh God, what if I'm like Filipino? Because I drop the N-word quite a bit in my podcast. You know, I just like saying it. I feel like I'm part of a club, and I really would like to. Not that I have anything against being Filipino, but I'd like to stay black. So I'm going to do the whole spit thing and then have them send that off. But I don't like 23andMe because you can spit into the thing and then you send it off, but you have to make a profile or else they don't know who spit into the cup. So it's like, you can tell me that I'm like 8% Japanese, but you can't be like, we don't know who's 8% Japanese though. Like,
Interesting.
I think DNA doesn't say who you are, but also
that would also leave them with a lot of work.
Yeah, true.
Also, just give them your name, right? That's way easier than trying to reverse engineer your name.
I only have
from your
125 gigabytes of internet, man. Like I need to
gotta be careful with that.
reallocate that.
I believe in a previous episode we disclosed that these services are mostly fraudulent.
Not mostly fraudulent, but just not. So let's say it's like they're 75% real, but it's like there's a good chance they could give you false results because there was like reports of like a set of twins did it, so they should have the exact same whatever.
And from one company they're getting completely
from one
responses.
company they got different ones, or from the same company they got two different ones. Then from a different company they got something completely different.
Do you know which company, or will you guys get sued if you say it?
No, it was
we
including.
didn't do the study.
It was including 23andMe. It was 23andMe. What's the other one? My
Ancestry.com.
Ancestry. I don't know something.
Oh yeah, I heard Ancestry.ca. Like they won't fucking tell you anything until you sign up for their super like $120 a month thing.
Yeah. So obviously part of it is the money grab of it, and that would make me feel weird too. But I think the other thing is probably the most annoying thing in the world is to overpay, but then to overpay for something that may not even be real.
Yeah.
Like we feel 60 to 70% certain that you're 60 to 70% this. And it's just like, so what does that mean? Does it mean I'm 33%? It's like,
yeah.
I'm paying. I feel like I'm less sure about what I am now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if the idea, even if they're telling you what you are, it's still you're spending money just to be like, oh, now I can confirm that my Italian ancestors are from Sicily because we've got a little African in us. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's still a little bit, I can feel a little bit hollow. Like you don't really learn that much from that. You probably could have reverse engineered a bunch of that yourself.
Yeah.
But then when you find out that they're not that certain and they're still willing to sell you the information.
Yeah.
I just would, on principle, I wouldn't want to even know. I don't want to know what weird thing you think I might maybe be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you saying, I want to stay black. I feel kind of the same way with French and Native too, because I identify so much with because I know I'm a lot of things.
Yeah.
I know that I'm way more than just French and Native, but those are the two that first of all, I went to French school.
You built
I
your
spoke
personality
French.
around that for sure.
And we went to like powwows growing up and stuff like that. So like those are the two that I identify with the most. So whenever someone's like, oh, what nationality are you? I'm like always like French and Native.
Yeah.
But if it was like all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're way more, I don't know, Scottish or whatever than any of those, I'd be like, who am I?
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because I'm half Italian and the other half I'm a various Brits. So Irish, Scottish, English, I think.
Yeah.
But when people ask what I am, the answer is Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone in Canada is a little bit English, Scottish, or Irish. So even though you're not asking, what are you that's different than what I am, that's sort of the answer I give them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because when a white person asks me, they don't mean, are you also white? They obviously mean that I look a little different. So they mean the Italian part.
Yeah.
So because that's my whole life, and I'm from Barrie. When I lived in Barrie, I had one black friend and one Indian family lived in our neighborhood. And because of that, I knew those people existed. But other than that, it's the whitest place I've ever been. Now, these days, Barrie's not nearly that white. All kinds of multicultures live there. But what the fuck was I talking about? I'm a fucking stoner. I'm lost again.
That you only say Italian when people ask.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, my whole life it became like, oh, what are you? I'm Italian. And so right now, if you were to like hypnotize me and ask what I am, I wouldn't tell you half Italian. I wouldn't tell you Scottish, Irish. I would tell you Italian.
Yeah.
Like it's become part of my DNA, who I am.
Yeah.
Thank you for saving my pothead brain.
No problem.
I was like, as you were saying your nationality, I'm like, yeah, man, like half Italiano, European, cut like Bono.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking, I think it was
funny.
Message in a Bottle.
Wow.
Changed the way that I communicate with certain people in my house.
Cool.
You said the word millions and you phrased it millions.
Yeah.
And
millions.
I now use that like unironically in conversation. Like we were talking about, I think it was
I got it from Cardinal.
Really?
Because Cardinal does that randomly for no reason. And I always thought it was fun how he would say like I can't even think of the words, but yeah, like millions or like billionaire. Like it was just like the idea of like emphasizing all of the letters. It's fun. That's fun. Yeah, that's funny.
No, it's great.
It's funny how that's contagious.
Yeah, we were talking about I think Tiger Woods' purse or something after this recent win. I don't even fucking pay attention to sports, but I forget who asked me, but I think I'm gonna say Taylor. Taylor asked me how much he won, and I was like millions and millions. But it's just something we do now. Like,
wow, that's funny.
Yeah, man, you're a meme in our heads.
Message in a Bottle.
Yeah.
Good record.
Is that the one with Dave?
Deep was my first song with Dave Archer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave.
Yeah.
I just got back from tour.
How'd it go?
It was really good. So we played 4 dates. And we had one Canadian date that we've canceled just because the vibe wasn't right. Too many acts just were pulling out at the wrong times and giving me the wrong energy. So we canceled the Canadian date for now.
Shout out to Kingston.
Shout out to Kingston. That's your area. So in the U.S., we went and played Dayton, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, and Gillette. I used to say Gillette, but it's Gillette, Wisconsin, which is just basically right outside of Green Bay. They were all great. Louisville and Fort Wayne were quite small, like 40 people, which is pretty small, but it's enough to like pay for the show. You know what I mean? And Wisconsin and Ohio were really, really lit, like 100 people. So that's always fire. We were in Nashville. We did our first Nashville co-writes. The city's fucking beautiful. The weather there is incredible. It's so warm. There's like, the thing I keep saying is that like, if you've been to Arizona or you've been to Vegas or even some places in Cali, you get there coming from Canada and you're like, wow, it's so warm. It's so beautiful, but it's like desert.
Yeah.
And so it's warm, but it's a very specific kind of warm. And Nashville's like that, but like lush. It's like the grass is overgrowing. There's vines on every wall. It's like it's like there's that like rainforest energy in the air. You know what I mean? Where it's just like humid and moist. And I was just like, this is where a motherfucker retires. It's just like so beautiful. It felt like Fern Gully, bruh.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like the place at the end of The Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Is Nashville.
Yeah.
So loved it right up until the moment that we got in a crazy car accident.
What?
You're not going to not mention it, right? So
I wasn't there.
Jess was not there. We would have brought it up right away if Jess was there.
Yeah.
Jess already has car related anxieties.
Oh, same. Yeah.
So first of all, let me say what was happening because I think the context is interesting and worth mentioning. We were just driving up the street, cuz I was sober. It was first thing in the morning. I was not on my phone. These are useful things to note because I do sometimes drive stoned and I never drive drunk. And I'm often GPSing on my phone at the same time. We were just driving straight on a very regular road. And then out of nowhere, I see a giant pickup truck, one of those like 12 feet off the ground pickup trucks, like kind of like flying out of a driveway. So I try to go around it and then he hits us in the back. He sends us spinning. It's like really crazy. Like probably the craziest accident I've ever been in. He could have sent us like rolling. Thank God the way he hit us, it didn't. It just sent us like spinning, like a top. And ultimately it was fine. It got us on the side of the road. The whole side of the car was fucked up. Insurance homework that follows that is fucked. But anyways, got a new car and drove back. But it was, I don't know. It just feels like the kind of thing that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had like the biggest car accident of my life on tour and then drove back in a different vehicle. It was a very intense like moment in the middle of the tour. That's like, I think it's weird because it's one of those moments like right after you're sitting on the side of the road, you're like, I'm going to remember this moment forever. Cause it was like most scared you've ever been. And that moment where you you suddenly look over and there's a giant, essentially a monster truck.
Yeah, it's like in the movies. There were scenes in the movies where
exactly.
just driving, and the way the camera's angled, you're like, oh, a car's definitely going to hit them.
Just literally this.
But it's still surprising.
Like not like head on, like you could try to, just if you're driving and he hits you from the side because he wasn't thinking cars were driving on that road. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was like that moment in time where you look over and you see what to me looks like a monster truck grill filling the entire window. You're just like, here we go, baby.
Yeah.
You know
does
what I mean?
that spike your anxiety as a driver, or do you feel like you're like
afterwards? I felt like I had like PTSD is not the right word, but I often use that as like almost like a meme of what I feel, because it's like I feel like the echoes of it after where I'm driving, and if I think about it too much, I get a little shaky. So you have to try to not think about the accident while you're driving and things like that. Yeah, definitely.
Did you drive right away after that?
Yeah, I drove for 2.5 hours after that.
Wow,
I had to drive us to Louisville. We had to get to a show. You know. And where the car was, because where the car got towed with all our luggage in it, was like halfway to Louisville. Mm-hmm. So we had to race there to get there before they closed. Otherwise, our luggage is going to get locked in the pound for the weekend. You know what I mean? So it was like one of those like just ridiculous ass days where I was on the phone with them being like, you guys have to get us a car really soon. Because if we don't get to fucking whatever that town was halfway to Louisville by 5:00, we got to go play our show with no clothes and no, I think some other pretty important shit. Mm-hmm. And then we have to drive 90 minutes backwards tomorrow before we keep going on to Chicago. So it was just like, that would have just be added insult to injury.
Totally.
But everyone was fine. Speaking of injury, Maya was in the back seat inches from where the fucking truck hit, but thank God it hit the chassis, not the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, thank the sweet Lord. And so everyone's fine. Everyone's pretty shook up. All the insurance paperwork is submitted. There's no reason they should be on any fuckery. So on to the next.
Yeah. Yep. Maya's got a sweet name, eh?
He
Meyer
does.
Clarity.
Well, Clarity is his rap name. So his real name is Meyer Hyman Lord.
My heart is broken.
No, yeah.
Oh, God.
And I mean, he knows. Like, Hyman Lord is way less sweet.
Sorry, I'm not going to make
it's okay.
family name.
And Clarity was his rap name when I first met him.
Okay.
In Montreal. And I think when he moved to Toronto, then he started realizing there's bands called Clarity and products called Clarity, and in the Google world, that Clarity is just not going to fly. Yeah. And I think it was a cool move for him to personalize it by adding his first name to his rap name. It's kind of a very unique thing that he did. Are you guys want to talk about some celebrity stuff for a second?
Yeah.
You guys know about the new Kardashian West baby?
Oh, yeah.
So Kanye and Kim had another baby. Mm-hmm. The reason that I didn't know this, and that maybe you didn't know this, was because she used a surrogate.
Oh, yeah.
So she just basically like has a baby, but she was at an award show 4 days before, looking at like in the wet dress.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's the same week she had her baby.
Yeah.
Because her surrogate had the baby while she was like.
So is it Kanye's?
Yeah. It's Kim and Kanye, and I don't know the baby's name yet.
Oh, so it's both their stuff. Just put it into someone else. Yeah.
I feel weird about it.
Yeah. Why?
Because
I don't disagree with you, by the way. I'm just curious.
No. Because I don't know that I'm right, but I do feel weird about it. And I think there's two facts that I'll make. These are the two factors for me. One is just overpopulation.
Yeah.
It's worth keeping in mind.
Yeah.
There are too many of us, and making 1 trillion more isn't the answer. Only rich people can do this. These are like the two things that like make me feel kind of weird. So you kind of have this like, she can just have as many babies as she wants without any of the consequences because she can afford to. But meanwhile, that might not be best case scenario as a general rule for anyone else to do. If everyone did that, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But they can do it because they're the richest people. Yeah. So all of these things sort of just leave me with and it's not, I heard someone say, well, she had some health complications. As far as I know, they've never said anything publicly that she had any more health complications than the average pregnancy. I believe it has more to do with, well, if we can, I already did it. I already proved I can do it.
Yeah.
If I can just give $1 million to someone else to do it then.
Yeah. We've had this argument with some friends of mine who were very much so on the other side of it. It was months ago, like way before this, but basically we were talking about, should women, if it was a thing, have the right to like sell babies? And they were saying that like, yes, it's our bodies. We should be able to.
You mean self-surrogacy, right? Not babies so much. Or,
sell surrogacy, but like sell being pregnant and pushing out a baby, whether it's their own baby or whether it's somebody else.
Sure.
It's like, should they be able to just like be like, here's a baby, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and we said no, because yes, they should have the rights to do with what they want with their body, but think of the world that we live in where poor people are pumping out children to make money.
Yeah.
and rich people are buying these children from people, like there would just be like, it would almost be like brothels and stuff of like people just like
baby brothels,
you know, like
the idea of you don't want to over incentivize.
Yeah, we'd hit 9 billion so quick, so quick.
And part of it is if some people can't have babies, that's one of. We're already overpopulated, even with 15% of women can't have babies, for example. Yeah. So I sort of feel like, part of me is like, yes, they have a right, and I'm not trying to take away anyone's right. No, we don't have enough fans to get angry letters, but no angry letters. You know what I mean? But I think in theory we should have the right to do that too, but I just think it's not with the corrupt world that we live in. It's not realistic to think that it would go well if we allowed that. It would go bad. And I think we had said before that the answer might be as simple as you set a limitation or something, like so you can do it one time. Because I just think you don't want to create a world where you're incentivizing poor young women that, like, in a world where jobs are automated and mostly the divide between the rich and the poor is getting bigger. You have a community, whether it's economic, racial, or otherwise, selling the surrogacy to the rich people on the other side of town. Yeah. Is that their freedom? Yes, I defend that. But the angel or devil on the other shoulder goes, but don't I get to choose if I want to live in a world that sounds like that? Where the people on this side of town are selling babies to this side of town. I'm personally would rather not live in that world if we could have that conversation. It just seems like a dystopian future that we could maybe just avoid with a simple rule like you said, could do it one time and then never allowed to do it again.
Or if there was some kind of solution that didn't have to do with money, like, you know what I mean? Sure. It's like everyone could afford it, so you get to choose whether you want to do it or not. That would be one thing. But if if only the rich and famous are able to do it, and it would just like be exploiting the poor people, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels potentially exploitive, and I think there's something to be said about natural give and take of if you want to have 12 babies, cool. Let's see if you're up to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm not saying like I hope it kills you, but I don't think that happens tons anymore, does it? And who am I to say? Because what percentage is okay of moms who die? Like, I'm not saying that's okay, but like you generally don't hear about for no reason a mom dying giving birth. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have another 3 kids, I sort of feel like let's see if you're up to it. It's hard. It's hard to have that many
You're
kids.
like building armies at this point where you don't even have to have them. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
you could. Because what happens? Could then if you can have one, could she hire 3 surrogates and have 3 babies at once
the same time? Yeah, exactly. And
who's like
she's rich enough.
Yeah, she could afford to do 300.
Yeah.
At what point would we all start feeling weird about it?
Yeah.
If Kim Kardashian makes 300 surrogate babies at once, what's the reaction by the world?
Yeah.
People freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, what are they?
People would freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
It would be the number 1 news story forever.
Yeah. What's the word called when you do an argument like that, where you're like, well, what if this insane thing happened? And it's like, that wouldn't happen. She's not gonna.
Is it gaslighting?
Is it no?
It's not.
There's another word, not straw manning. It's another word for when you say, well, if we allow that, what about this? When it's not even a thing that would happen. But
we call it slippery sloping.
Slippery sloping. Yeah, okay. Sure. So I'm just trying to get both sides of the argument that she's not going to build an army.
No.
So
no, but what? First of all, we don't know that.
That's some Alex Jones shit.
First of all, we don't know
some babies in the army.
That the Kardashian Wests are not currently making 300 concurrent babies.
What?
We don't know that they're not doing that. First of all,
why they're naming them all after locations.
Underground in the bunker, they might be making 300 babies who all throw up the fucking Rockefeller symbol. We don't know that they're not doing that. But the point isn't that they are doing it. The point is it's a good thought experiment. If I say 1 and both of you guys go, I don't know how to feel about it. Okay, cool. What if she did 10? Where's the number where your stomach goes, I don't know if I want to live in a world where celebrities just make 10 clone babies at once.
And we're having trouble feeding children.
You know what I mean?
In other countries, but here rich people are just like popping them out via other people.
Yeah. And none of them are going to have 10. But okay, so if it's let's not go to 10. It doesn't bother you that Kim's doing it. What if I told you it's like you come back in like 4 months and then I'm like, guys, crazy. Did you hear that there's a report that right now there are 40 celebrities and CEOs who are not doing it right now? It's the most ever that we've seen. Like, it's definitely trending. It's like, at which point do you start to be like, wow, we're really entering the future where rich people don't have their own babies?
I might make a prediction and say that it's I would keep my ear to the ground and like see what else comes from that, because I could see it becoming a trend, because it's like when I'm thinking about it, so you're saying it has my DNA, it has Anthony's DNA, I just don't have to go through the painful experience of childbirth. 100% I would do it if I could.
Okay, so
I don't want children, but if I wanted
the problem
children,
then, because I would be willing to consider that the problem isn't that the women aren't carrying their own babies, but because I mean, I think there is something to be said about, well, some women will just keep having them then because they don't have to deal with the bad part of it. But the worry that I wouldn't want to create the world, like America's number 2 industry is like baby making, you know what I mean? Like that'd be, and who's, and what's the Netflix documentary about the dirty underbelly of that look like?
yeah.
Where there's all these like,
totally. There would definitely be bad shit that would happen with it.
you know what I mean? And so, I suppose hey, maybe we get to a place where we can start doing surrogacy, but not in a woman's body. It's like external surrogacy. I'm pro that. I'm pro if women go, fuck, we don't want, no woman wants to go through the process of being stretched and ripped and like all of the things that come with pregnancy. And so starting in 2025, you can actually have a baby with your husband, and you go down to the baby center, and there's like a little fucking, what's a thing? What's a good word? What do you
an incubator?
Incubator. That's a good word I'm looking for. Like an incubator, and we go visit it, and like, oh, there's baby JJ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what we call it. That's what we call her, actually.
Yeah.
Her name is JJ.
Yeah.
And
so you're saying if it was all
thumbs up for that,
and not exploiting humans,
because then no one's getting exploited.
Yeah, totally.
And it needs to be free. It needs to be a government program so that it's not about rich people don't have to do it, and that you see all these big. If you're poor and by the way, poor people then could work right up until the day their baby is born as well.
Yeah.
Right. So that in theory,
keep them at work.
There's
I'm saying they can work. I'm not saying.
I know. I'm just kidding. So then,
when I'm rich, I'm gonna have to be so careful what I say, because you're gonna make me sound like. Anyways,
the dark underbelly of that, though, if like the government is just like growing these babies, is you have full say if it's you have full say if it's like both your genes going into this incubator thing, but then you leave and you're like, okay, in 9 months this baby's gonna be like, this baby's gonna be born. Like, do you
think they're gonna fuck with your baby when you're not looking?
What's stopping the government from putting these little chips in their brain and keep making them all? Wow. You know what I'm saying?
Are leaving your baby with the government for 9 months?
We're gonna make the frogs gay
with Facebook.
Yeah,
you're leaving your baby with Facebook. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like what? But I mean, what would stop them? I'm not Alex Jones, but like, what would stop them from putting little, and nothing crazy, like no, like, oh, if you say 6969 they turn into assassins, but a little bit of a,
it needs to be a longer code than that, first of all.
Yeah
Especially with rappers' names these days, bro. Just go to the wrong concert and turn into a spy.
You get one stuttering fan at a Tekashi 6ix9ine concert, and his fucking baby turns into
I told you we should have gone with a longer password than that. My mom's maiden name and my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that would be so fun.
I like that. That was a good thinker.
Listen, that's what I pack sometimes.
I think we should remember to follow up on that, like in a few months from now, and see if anyone else has done it. See if there's like companies popping up that surrogates.com,
surrogates.com.org.
Surrogates.com.
Surrogate yours today.
Wow.
So I went to Cuba, which I think that I already talked about on the last podcast we recorded. But I wanted to bring up something that me and my sister were talking about today that has to do with me going there. So when we went there, first day we get there, there's like the little like stray dogs running around. And if you've ever been on a resort, there's always like the resort dogs, or sometimes cats. When we went to Jamaica, there was little kitties everywhere, like begging us for food and stuff. And I love dogs. So of course we were like petting them right away. But then first day when we were done petting them, we were like, let's like wash our hands right away. Cause like these dogs, are like sketchy dogs. But by like the 6th day, we were definitely like cuddling with them and like letting them up on our lounge chair, our deck chairs, and like ruffling their ears and stuff, not washing our hands. Like we just didn't care. So anyways, my sister recently is just like, oh, apparently like rabies is like rampant in Cuba. What? Yeah. She's like, and you don't always know it until like months, sometimes years later, or not years, but like over a year later, all of a sudden you can like get the symptoms. And once you know that you have symptoms for it, it's too late. Like there's no.
Did you get a shot when you got back?
No.
Because it's that big. I'm not going to scare you with the needle thing.
Needles don't bug me, but
because it's a big needle.
Do I have to get it like in my spine or?
No, I think it goes in the stomach. I don't know because the last time I saw anybody deal with rabies, it was on house. But I mean,
that's where you get all your medical information.
I mean, Hugh Grant doesn't lie. Hugh Laurie, sorry, not Hugh Grant.
So I researched rabies because I wanted to know what the symptoms were. Because I had a bad stomach the week I was back, and I've had a kind of a bad stomach ever since. So I'm like, oh, maybe I have rabies and I'm going to die. Let's see.
Farting up a storm, cuz.
No, not that. It's more like
no, she doesn't fart.
Like indigestion. It's like upper stomach, like heartburn, I guess.
Yeah.
I've never had heartburn before, so it could even just be that, and I just wouldn't know what it feels like.
Like right in your like solar plexus.
Yeah.
Straight up food poisoning.
What is it actually?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I should probably go to the doctor.
Well, if you're better now, then you'll be fine.
No, it hurts right now as we speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's just like a dull pain.
But yeah, if you're still hurting from your trip 2 or 3 weeks ago.
But I don't know if it's from the trip. It could be unrelated, but it's been since then that I've had it.
Sometimes I do be getting up in that solar plexus, if you know what I mean.
Are you vegetarian at all? Or
I am, yeah.
Okay, then it's probably not food poisoning. I've had that exact same pain. Usually lasts about 12 hours for me, but it's from undercooked chicken. Shout outs to Yolanda, my mother-in-law.
So symptoms of rabies include, did you guys know this? Fear of water and of gusts of air. This is symptoms in humans, not in animals. Fear of water.
I've heard this, but I never really paid it much mind, so I'm glad that you're bringing it up.
Yeah, so it really like was weird. It seemed like a weird thing. Like why would it be like that? Is it like you're turning into a zombie and you're just like bleh, like you know what I mean?
Like some parasite shit.
So what I read was that the reason you have fear of water and like of gusts of air is because you're having muscle spasms and stuff like zombies. So your throat is closing. So the thought of having something like further close your throat is scary. I guess that's the way that like the only way they could think to explain it. And having like a gust of air also, if like a wind blows in your face, it kind of like takes your breath away or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like you're afraid of anything that could make your breathing worse, essentially. Sure. Is kind of like the way that they described it, or theory that they said it could be why you get a fear of water.
But it might be that you're becoming a zombie.
Yeah. What's the gust of airs one? Like if somebody like blows at you, you'd be like, I don't get it.
Immediately turn rabid.
But anyway, so if I start doing any of those things,
now that you mention it,
I'm done for anyway. So because once you see the
you were growling at the fan last night at 5 a.m. I woke up. Pretty concerning stuff.
How do you get tested for that? You just sit you in a fucking wind tunnel for a week?
I don't know if you can actually get oh yeah, there must be some kind of test for it.
They just like
there's rabies
periodically hold glasses to
yeah, just like
I just spit on Jess every morning and see what happens. So far, she just mostly gets pretty pissed off about
it.
Yeah, so hopefully not rabies.
Yeah, I hope not.
Do you have anything else on your talk list?
Yeah, I do. I got other stuff.
Move to the next thing.
I see board games on there.
Yes. Do you like board games?
I fucking love board games.
Oh, sweet.
I crush. So games, like anything that I can be competitive in, but you're not like a shitty person for being competitive about that. That's how I curb from like going on Instagram and finding my friends that are a little bit more successful than I am. And, I'm starting a fake account and calling them pieces of shit. You know what I'm saying?
I thought that might be you.
Yeah, no, what?
That's actually really smart though. I never thought of it like that, where it's like you can play games and just like not be like
that's what games are.
Yeah.
A jock piece of shit. Not that all jocks are pieces of shit. If you like sports, that's okay. But you know what I mean? Like it's like.
Yeah, I think Sam Harris had a podcast where they broke down like games and play and like what it is.
Yeah.
And that's largely what it is like a place for men to get their like. When I go back in time, by the way, I mean like game back once upon a time was like fighting and like play fighting
or like jousting or whatever.
It's like to get all that extra juice out.
Yeah, it's like it's
while
illegal
staying
to kill
sharp.
Now.
Wow. And then I think as we got more and more civilized and our aggressions are more civilized, we can now exert those via games. Like in Monopoly, you're exerting like the like muscly business thing. You know what I mean?
Wow. I'd also like to add now that women as well are exerting.
No, I only went back. I only use men as an example because I think that's where it started.
Yeah, when they had like games,
like jousting, and
women's weren't even allowed. Or women's
now, of course, women, and I think women probably do it for some of the same reasons and some of their own reasons. Maybe they're like with, you know, everything. The thing with men and women is it's always the same, but with some of its own unique flavoring of experience. And so I think probably women also game for maybe slightly more social reasons. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, who am I to say? But just speculating.
So we recently played Settlers of Catan at my friend Hollis's place. Have you played that one?
No, what's that? Is it like a Risk kind of thing?
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, it's like Monopoly. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I mean by Monopoly is you have to like build cities and then they turn like you know in Monopoly you turn like houses into hotels.
Yeah.
It has that whole kind of experience of like building. Oh, it was really badass.
Is it like, but are there like a set group of rules? Or is it like Dungeons and Dragons where you just kind of...
No, it's a set group of
Okay,
rules,
sick. Because I can't stand that Dungeons and Dragons shit. Like I don't...
love it.
Jess is D&D,
Really?
baby. No, she's you're on a hiatus right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I love D&D. Yeah, but I know what you mean. It definitely has like D&D. If you play with really serious people, it has, but it can still go a million different directions. But it has. I know
careful.
I can feel it, but there's nothing really I could do because I can't.
maybe just take it off the wall. I hate to rip it. That's a piece of fan art we actually got from a friend. It was friend art. So I all the more reason I wouldn't want to break it.
Yes.
But yeah, Jess does D&D, and that's my biggest issue with it too. Is it feels silly to me because
You can just suck dick.
you're just doing nothing really, in my opinion. You're
Yeah.
just being silly.
You can be like...
No, I get it, but it's compared to a game with rules. I can't prove that I'm good at anything. I'm just being silly and having fun.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you could compare D&D to like a video game or like Bandersnatch or something. You know what I mean?
But what way to?
Because so D&D basically like the DM, the dungeon master, writes a story kind of. Based on what decisions you make in that story, different things happen. They don't just make it all up on the spot, but they write multiple directions that you could go in, and you go in those directions.
My biggest issue is this. So let's say, for example, you wrote, what's it called? Like a night called a session. You wrote a session.
Yeah.
You write a campaign.
Yeah.
You write a campaign, and it's about how Logan and I are like breaking into this castle, and there's going to be 2 dragons, and the other side of those dragons is like
That sounds dope.
a crystal ball, and then you got to ride the crystal ball to like a fucking.
You ride it?
Yeah, you got to ride it like a ball on a chain, a big crystal ball on a chain.
Okay.
And then you ride it over here, and then you get to the room full of gold. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
If I go, we climb up over the walls, we go around the dragons. You're like, cool.
Yeah, anything.
Or you can't. But then ultimately, we're gonna get around the dragons and get to the gold. You always get to the thing.
But a board game would be like, dude, you're gonna fucking pass go. You're gonna
in a board game,
$200.
I might keep going back to the beginning and never get anywhere.
And you can do anything in between the time of getting to the castle. And like if we get attacked by orcs, it's stupid if I do this, but I could say, I'm going to roll a 7 and suck the orc's dick.
Yeah, you
like,
can. That's what makes it amazing.
And if I can do that in a game, I'm going to suck some dick. You know what I'm saying?
All the time.
Do you really? How many dicks have you sucked?
Well, I shouldn't say I do it all the time. I maybe only suck 2, but I basically, like if there's an option to seduce, like if there's like a guard guarding whatever, and I'll be like, hey, can I seduce him? And I have like high, like, what's it called?
Charm or whatever?
Persuasive points or charm or whatever. So it's just like,
high pussy points?
High pussy points. That's why it's dope to me, but I could understand why you'd feel
why
the way
it's
you
too,
feel.
it's too, because my thing is not that it's dumb. It's so free. I'm just playing. Like, that's how I feel.
Like Grand Theft Auto's too open world for me.
Yeah, I see. My thing is I'm bad at all video games, so that doesn't work for me. That doesn't translate to me. I'm literally just bad at all video games. But it's like the same reason that I love the idea of like laser tag or like I've never played paintball, but it seems cool and interesting to me.
Yeah.
Versus when people dress up in costumes. What's that called? Cosplay
or
seems
LARPing.
Insanely stupid to me because they're not doing anything. They're just playing. And I could see why they would argue, but the playing is why it's amazing, and they're not wrong. Because if what you want to do,
and LARPing has a lot of rules.
if what you want to do, but is be creative and be a character, then that's awesome. But that's not what a game is, in my opinion. You're being creative and you're like playing characters, and that's all awesome point shit, but that's not why
it's not a board game, but it's a game.
But it's not. No. It's, of course, it's fine. It's a game, but I just mean that's not my definition of a game. That's not the kind of game that I get satisfaction from. Whereas we're gonna find out between us who's the fastest, the most clever, the best at these particular rules, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's a little bit more like fun. It's like there's a lot of little middle ground that's just for fun that you do.
Yeah, there is. But then there's some math and stuff like during the battles. You have to make good calls on what you want to try doing, and
it's huge. And there's a whole subculture. And I think the less I like it, the more I know a bunch of people really fuck with it because it's like they don't give a fuck that I don't like it. You know what I mean? And so I think it's. Or we joked earlier, like, I don't want to live in a world where people selling babies. I want to live in a world where people dress up like warlocks and run around in a field. That's a world I want to live in.
Yeah.
I don't want to dress up like a warlock and run around in the field, but it would make me sad if that stopped.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting and harmless and way cooler than a lot of the things that people spend their time and money on. You know what I mean?
I still think you should come cameo for D&D sometime.
I'll come get drunk one night and do the cameo. The cameo seems to be, and you tell me if I'm right.
Yeah.
Where you just kind of sit in and do nothing of any use, and you're playing like someone's like bird on their shoulder or some shit.
Oh yeah.
Just like weigh in periodically.
You made it sound way more useless than it is, but yes.
Sort of.
So you would be written into the story planning that you're only going to be there for the one campaign.
You're like a cameo, like a cameo like in a single episode.
So you would leave at the end and be like, okay, you guys are going on to do other adventures. Nice meeting you type thing.
I'm going to stay here in the wacky wizard woods.
Or as the DM, I could kill you all.
Goodbye, little kids. Thanks for blowing me.
It is a lot like do you guys have like little kids that you periodically hang out with? Like
my nieces and nephews. Shout out to them.
Yeah. So it's like play fighting with like your niece or nephew where you're like, oh, I used my lasers on you, and they're like, oh, dodged it, and I used my lasers on you. Oh, I used my shield. No, I broke through your shield. And you're like, you little shit. Like fucking
yesterday I went and visited my niece and my nephew. And it's the first time I ever visited them where it wasn't for like a major holiday. Yeah. Because I'm a dickhead like that. And so I was just kicking it with them. Yeah. Which is cool because I was able to actually play with them. My nephew's getting older, so we played Xbox One on this big screen TV now. So it's like I just suck at video games, as we've discussed already. So he kept being like, "Why'd you die again?" I'm like, "Man, I tried to explain to you. I'm not good at this, but I'm happy to keep dying alongside you." But then I went and played with my niece. She's now 3 or 4, and like fully like she has like a castle like under her bunk bed in her bedroom, and so I was like in the castle like barely fitting, and then she like locked me in just by going like this, and that's you cannot get out. And I was just like, can I come out? And she was like, no. So then I like poke my head out the window, and I'm like, Delilah, been in here for a while. Can I come out now? And just, I'm telling you, she was loving the. Do not come out. So,
how old is she?
I think she was born the year I went on tour with T-Zank. I think that's 3 years ago.
3, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
She was born like the day before I left for tour, and I was like, do I go visit them? And I was like, Chris, I'm gonna come see you guys in a month.
Yeah.
So I remember that forever. But 3 years old. She's a little sweetheart. She's a pain in the ass. They're coming here, both of them, for 2 days. She's coming for 1 day. He's coming for 2 because he's getting older, and he can start to spend the night and kick it with us for a couple of days. Yeah. In a couple of months, and I'm really excited. And Jess and I, for now, aren't planning on having any kids, so it's cool to have like them around and like build kind of some cool annual stuff that we do. Like I took him to Wonderland last year, and already all winter long he's like, are we doing Wonderland again? Yeah. So it's like, that's what I want. I want to be able to just have like stuff where every summer I got us a cottage in August. It's like a big like 4-bedroom place on the lake up in like Lambton Shores or whatever. And it's just so cool to be like, since we don't have kids, we've got we're not rich, we have a little bit of extra money from not having kids to feed all the time. Yeah. And so it's like little things like that. I can like pick them up and take them somewhere. Yeah. Or like pick them up and we can get a cottage for the weekend and create memories with them, because we travel so much that I sometimes don't see them for like 8 weeks at a time. Yeah. And then I try to make a point to go run over and visit them, but that's 3 hours every 8 weeks. Like that's not a ton of time. You know what I mean? So I try to do my best by making it up with like cool moments where we bring them to the science center, we bring them to the aquarium, roller coaster rides. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. No, kids. Do you have nieces and nephews or kids in your life?
Yeah. I have two nieces and 2 nephews.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The one of them is like super he's like super impressionable, and I think that I'm like a good influence and everything like that, but there's just like little things I'll pick up on. Like you can talk to, his name's Evan, and you can talk to him like he's an adult pretty much.
Sure.
Like he just kind of like, it's not so much that he'll understand what you're talking about, but it's like he'll understand that you're passionate about something, and that gets him fucking stoked about it.
Sure.
And this year I became a minimalist, and I was like talking to him like I dropped the term to like my mother-in-law or something, and then he asked me about it, and I said, oh, it's like, it's cool, it's just I don't have stuff in my life that I don't appreciate, and I only wear my favorite shirts. So a year goes by, and he informs me that he's doing what I'm doing and is going to be a minimalist. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, fuck, that's great. You know, get them started when they're young and everything like that. And then his mom comes up to me and it's like, yeah, Evan was just bringing out bags and bags of clothing and just throwing them out in the driveway. And I'm like, oh, right, he's 8. He's probably got like 6 socks and a Scooby-Doo onesie left. Like, I'm like, oh, you don't need to do that right now, bud. It's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's so funny.
They're like, kids are like little science experiments. It's fun to watch them like learn and then become even better at learning.
Yeah.
Leighton, I mean, now Leighton would be, help me here. How old's Leighton, do you think?
7?
7? I was going to guess around there too.
Yeah.
And so he's like a little boy who has like opinions about things.
Yeah.
He started his first play. He did the Oompa Loompa dance for us, even though he was a bit ashamed. I think we're getting to the age where he's going to stop doing that soon because he did it. He did the Oompa Loompa play, and then so I didn't see it, so my sister got him to do it for me. But at first he was just like head in his hands, just like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, because he's 7, but he's still, when you're 7, you're still a little bit the little kid that does what your mom asks.
Yeah.
And you love the attention, but you can already see the shame that you have when you're 10.
Yeah.
We all remember from like 10 to 13, you start to be ashamed of everything that your parents want you to do. And like, oh, I'm not wearing that shirt. Like, you know how to roll your eyes. It's like all those.
Yeah, he rolls his eyes so much.
It's coming, man. You can see, but when he rolls his eyes now, it sort of feels like he's doing an impression of his dad.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the like embarrassedness yet that he's gonna get really soon.
Yeah.
And it's
the shame.
The shame
monster.
Yeah, the shame monster's coming, right?
Yeah.
But we'll be there to be positive.
Yes.
And
shame free.
Yeah.
Yep.
And hopefully he'll be okay.
When did you become a minimalist?
Just last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
it was just it was so weird. I started flipping, like Gary Vee style, like flipping. And when I had acquired all this stuff that I'd thrown on Kijiji, I just started looking at it all, and I'm like, wow, I'm taking people's stuff. I'm getting it like for a reduced rate or whatever.
Sure.
And like in theory, they're happy because they're like, oh fuck yeah, $5 for my my kid's comic book collection. That's sick. And then, but I'm throwing it up on, Kijiji or Facebook ads or whatever for $10 each. And then I'm like, wow, this is like really fucking weird. Like just flipping stuff like that. And then I started to think more and more about it. And it's like, why am I repurposing people's shit? Like, why am I just accumulating this stuff that may never sell? And I'm going to have to take to a pawn shop and lose profit on it anyways. And then I started thinking about what I have in my life that I don't really need anymore. Like I had like 2 PlayStations and like just a bunch of weird video games and shit. And it's like, you know what? I should probably just get rid of this. And then I didn't realize it was an actual thing until I was on Netflix and the documentary came up, which is, we're going back to the Alex Jones shit, proves that my phone was listening to me when I was talking about getting rid of shit. It's just, it's chill. It's not for everybody.
I watched that documentary and was definitely super inspired by it to, excuse me, to appreciate the items that I have. Like we were even talking about this when you said, oh, I looked in my closet and I have like so many good clothes right now, but it's just like, why do we have any clothes that we don't like?
Yeah.
And we do.
Well,
everybody has that.
The answer was because we were broke. That's why.
But it's just like, but they should be gone now because we're not broke now. You know what I mean? So it's like, you shouldn't, why am I keeping these things that I look at it and I'm like, no, I wouldn't wear that today.
Yeah.
It's like, why do I have things that don't
I'm in the process.
spark joy?
I'm in the process. So I actually think I really fuck with the minimalist movement, but I think the minimalist thing is sort of one scope of it, and that there's a broader scope. So what me and Jess did, and I think we'll continue to do, is I remember we had a conversation about our place that we live. It didn't map to us. The square footage wasn't being utilized in the same square footage of our passions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just have stuff around because it's stuff that we have.
Yeah.
We don't have it because we need it. We have it because we have it.
This whole corner of the room was just like a dresser of mine and like some baskets of like old stuff that we didn't use.
Nobody ever, it was like just, not only did we not use it, it just made you not want to just step past halfway through this room.
Yeah, it was just like a abandoned corner of the room.
And even in the main space, it took me a little while, but there was a couple pieces of furniture that were quite big that I was just like, we don't look at it, we don't touch it, we just put shit on it, and we can put shit on anything.
Yeah.
So we just started slowly but surely getting rid of the furniture that we don't love and don't use, and started replacing it with stuff that maps to us better. So we have a bike now to try to help on the health front. We literally gutted our entire second half of the office and built the podcast studio. We're currently saving for a house. We're nowhere near ready, but when we get there, I think people will be surprised how we use it, because I have no need for 2 dining rooms, bro. But I absolutely will build a photography studio just so we can take pictures.
We barely have a need for 1 dining room.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been eating at our living room table for the entire
I could see us building.
No, I would like
for example, again,
nook.
I always joke that like I'd love to build like a diner style, like what's that called?
Like a bar,
like a cubby,
or like a nook, a breakfast.
Yeah, like a nook. You know what I mean? We go to there's like a booth.
Yeah.
And like that's my thing. Is it's like so often houses and living spaces, we'll call it, are, I coined that term right now, are just you've built it and it's like mapped in a way that you've seen on sitcoms and the way that your mom's and dad's was. But it's like
you're not actually using all those spaces to their full potential.
If your favorite thing in the world is pottery, and I go in your apartment and the corner has a second sofa and not a pottery wheel, it tells me that you are not in the same place as me.
It's just, and you have your pottery in like your dank basement. It's just like, no, bring it up to your
Or
main
if
space.
you live in an apartment, it's like in your closet, you have to like do 2 hours of work to get it out. It's like, no, you're gonna do less pottery because it's buried in your closet. Get rid of the second fucking love seat and put a pottery wheel full time. When we have more space, I'm just gonna have like a pinball machine. That's stupid, but I love pinball.
And that's not even reinventing the wheel, because definitely a lot of guys have no,
but the point is, it's like, that's my wheel. I'm not trying to reinvent it. I just want people to, I guess not.
I would love a pool table. And that's not reinventing anything.
No.
People have been doing that since the 80s.
It's not that no one does it. Certainly, there's a lot of wealthy people do this, because when you've got a bunch of money, you're like, let me just fill my house with shit I love. And then it happens. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, we don't make crazy money more than maybe what the average listener does. And probably we're somewhere in the mix of them. You know what I mean? It's not about being super wealthy and being like, I can build a bowling alley. I love bowling. It's like, it's more of a thought experiment. What's the square footage of your living space, the square footage of your spending space in the world, like the money that you spend on things and the time that you spend on things, and what's the square footage of the shit that you love and fantasize about and you draw joy and energy from? The closer those 3 things are to just aligning is like pure focus and pure joy.
No,
you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's just about, but I think, at least for me, I don't hear a lot of people talking about interior design in how does it service your life goals. And because I walk in the house and I look at it like a cockpit, bro. I walk in, if this was a spaceship I was building, what would I need in my fucking cockpit? I would need my broadcast station. I would need my workstation so I can generate money. That's the lyricvids.com place over here. I'm obviously gonna need, everyone needs to rest and to eat and stuff, but it's like, oh, I need a place for, I really love poker, so I want a place where I can do that really easily. And I even go deeper. I started creating like threads of poker players on my Facebook because I want to be able to easily do the things that I love to do. And so I do that physically with fucking building podcast spaces. And I try to even like do the prep work of having 25 poker players I know. Handy, so if I want to play, they're around. I'm like fucking ready to do the shit that I love, you know?
That's actually super inspiring that you brought this up. Have you ever noticed the folder on our computer that says Jess's secret files do not open? Have you ever seen that one?
I'm really good at obeying rules. I did not open it.
So basically what it was is, I'm just going to tell you what it is because I haven't really pursued it. But I basically got an idea for a decorating show, and I kind of wanted to maybe like film a pilot for it or something. And I just wanted it to be basically everything I love about decorating shows, because you get the kind of satisfaction from like the before and afters and all that stuff. So everything you love, and take out everything you hate and make it funny, make it like crass, like you could have like swearing in it, make it like almost like Broad City meets a decorating show. So you get the satisfaction of the decorating show, but then you also get like a little bit of comedy.
You take all the popcorn out of it though.
But another angle that could be cool is to do that, to be like, fuck, why are we making our houses look like our grandma's house? Why aren't we making it look like the house that we actually want to live in? And you know what I mean? Like, anyways, an idea that I'll continue to work on.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Workshopping that further because it's like not even on your idea.
I made a PowerPoint presentation and everything.
I love it. I like the idea.
It's in that folder.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Imagine if you walked into when we have a house, okay, and you walk in. Maybe it's not the living room because I'm pro having a pretty basic living room so you can go relax and watch TV and like you know what I mean. But let's just say the other space, whether it's the basement or the big like dining room, second living room space that like a lot of houses will have some space that's like the other room, you know. I when I watch design shows or it's like on Queer Eye and I see them decorate it, I fuck with it. I'm not such like on some new shit that I look at that and go, wow, fucking love the way it's like exposed brick on that wall and it's so like clean and clean lines. Like I like it. I guess what I'm saying is like I don't not get why people would want that, you know? But if suddenly you walked into my basement and it wasn't that, it's not about clean lines and decor in any capacity. It's like you're walking into the most potent square footage of coolness, like resources, and like, yeah, it's just like green screen studio and a VR lab and a fucking movie theater like our friends have.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up, we have these friends, Adam and Dara, who probably had the closest to what we're talking about that we've ever seen. They have their whole vinyl area upstairs.
A bar.
They have speakers like wired into the whole
entire house is wired with one speaker
system. It goes through the whole house.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a bar. They have a wall of games, so it's just all board games on the one wall. And then they have a theater where they have like levels of couches going up, so they can kind of have friends over and watch a movie.
And it's incredible. It's not incredible in the way that a Queer Eye episode would end. Where it's like clean lines everywhere. It's just joy and the shit that they love built into every way. If it's like, oh, there's a dining room, the dining room is just literally 40% a vinyl listening station.
Yeah.
Because that's the shit that they love. Yeah. And that's a great example. Yeah. And I think that's a good like working example because they've done it naturally over the course of their life, just built their life that way.
Yeah.
I think that's me, man. That's what I want because it is fun. And when I see like what Drake's pad looks like or whatever, it's like, wow, I would love that. But I think it doesn't get me as hard as the idea of like really thinking outside the box with the space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like building like a crazy like recording studio and with like an external facing door so we can make money on the side. Like that way that you could use your square footage and like and think almost like entrepreneurially, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even the public facing thing, it's not even my shit. I don't like dealing with fucking people. Yeah. I like dealing with friends. I just mean like customers. I don't want to have to deal with that. So maybe I won't do that. Yeah. Lock that fucking door. I threw away the key. It's fucking gone.
Yeah. Well, people think of that shit as like real estate moguls and shit like that. Like you said, selling real estate. I think that's what's so cool about the idea about having a show. And your initial idea is like, oh, I'll have a design show based around it because most people that get into design work probably get into design work by going to some type of trade school. Then they get into design work because they love design. They love the artistic aspect of it. And that has to marry with, at some point, we're going to move out of this house and that's Alex Jones again. I'm so sorry. Wow. At some point, we're going to move out of this house. The resale value has to go up for this house. But if you jump into it initially with the idea of we're turning our entire house into, I'm gonna say man cave, but a creative hub.
That word is off limits here, just so you know.
Yeah. It's so funny that you like hesitated on saying it because it's like a hill that I will die on.
But it's if your whole idea is going in there and creating these spaces, like the resale value of an entire wall of like I don't know, say you just glued a bunch of nailed in a bunch of vinyls. I was gonna say vinyl CDs, but like records to the wall, that's not gonna up your resale value. No. Like there's gonna be somebody who's gonna walk in there and be like, that's fucking disgusting. Like I'm gonna have a contract. I'll need a contractor to remove all that stuff and whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But if you're going in there with the idea of, okay, first and foremost, this is going to be a reality TV show, whether it's network TV show or a YouTube TV show. This is a reality TV show. We're going in here and we're designing these creative hubs of just cool shit. Then the whole resale value argument is right out the window. Nobody gives a shit, if whether this increases you install the second bathroom and that added $25,000 to the property. Like you could just have, I'm a tiny house fanatic because I'm building one. Sure. So like that's cool. That's my thing. But it's like you could have a tiny house entirely dedicated to, I don't know, a music studio or,
totally.
Anything. Yeah.
I don't know if you've got the budget to actually produce this show, but
I can make a pilot.
Who's going to pay for the design costs? The person?
That's in the pitch. It's in the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, but I'm curious. Who pays?
I don't want to get into it right now.
Okay. Sounds expensive. It sounds like an expensive idea.
Yes.
Sounds like we're going to buy somebody a couch.
That's why the folder said do not open, okay? I don't want to hear your...
Maybe you should have opened it up on this podcast. That's on you.
I just wanted to mention another game that we played recently that we really enjoyed. That I think we could actually bring on the podcast and do like a couple rounds on the podcast at some point. I don't have it here with me, but it's called Super Fight. Do you remember it?
No.
So basically you played it, and when I explain it, you'll remember. You pull cards, and some are fighter cards and some are power cards. Like, so what kind of fighter you have or what kind of powers this fighter has. And you pick the best match. So like out of this, I forget what exactly the rules are, but basically you'll have like, for example, Godzilla, and then you'll get a card that says with laser eyes, or you'll see one.
Play this game.
Yeah, you played it at Shayla's.
I didn't.
You did.
I wasn't there this time. I'm telling you.
Okay, well then let me explain. So you'll get a card that says Godzilla, let's say. So that's your card, and then you get to pick 3 out of like 5 cards. It's either with laser eyes. Some of them are bad, so like shrunk down to tiny size or whatever. With, I don't know, mile-long fingernails. There'll be like a bunch of like weird things. Sure. And then basically you have to think of like what could be the best combination of these things to beat that person. And then you put down your cards, they put down theirs. And so if yours was, you know, Godzilla, but maybe theirs was like some kind of like, what kills Godzilla?
I don't know. Like
a fighter plane or something like that with nuclear missiles or something like that. Sure. So then they would get the point because they would beat you. But anyways, it's hard to explain, but it was really fun. I think it'd be fun
that sounds fun.
And you basically,
can't wait to play it.
The way that you win is like by like arguing it out, like arguing out why yours would beat theirs. So it's basically whoever's a better arguer. So that means you'd probably win.
Again, it sounds like one of the games with no rules almost.
It sounds kind of like Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Cards Against Humanity arguably has no rules too. It's just whoever's is funniest.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that. Yeah.
I think that's why Cards has died actually, is because once the shock wears off, there's not much to the game.
Yeah. They would need to every year put out new editions.
And they do.
Brand new.
But
do they really?
Yeah. Well, at least for a while they did. And I just think the game itself doesn't have enough like game ability to it.
Yeah.
It's just really like you play, I play. Oh, that's funny. Okay, next one. You play, I play. Oh, that's funny. Maybe they're working on that because I actually think the marketing team is really smart over there.
Yeah.
And
they have other products too, so they're doing fine. But totally. I think you are right that the novelty is worn off a little bit.
Yeah. That's like there's a card game in a game called Gwent. It's like that, but it's a little bit. It's just like longer. It's almost like that idea mixed with blackjack. You want to get to 20, but not over 20 or something like that. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, that sounds way more. It sounds way more fast paced, which is attractive to me.
My Godzilla also has nuclear weapons.
I was giving bad examples, but or like it'll be like ninja with.
I don't know that we need more examples.
Fireballs or like I don't know.
So it's like a bowl of Cheerios, but with big arms and shoulders.
Exactly.
Versus a bucket of sponges, but with sassy comebacks.
Thank you.
Who would win? The Cheerios with the shoulders?
Well, obviously the comebacks don't actually hurt. And they're sponges, so they're soft.
You never fucked with a bucket of sponges. He could really, really say some hurtful shit.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of rage down here in the bucket.
Because like you got to think that
I assumed it was a man because you said sassy comments.
Well, I personally believe that sassy is not a gender-specific word.
I guess you're right.
It's okay if you feel that. It's only for women. But I personally feel that a man can also be a sastronaut.
Sastronaut?
These are the things I say.
How far away is that bucket of sponges too? Because that's the Cheerios has mobility, that it has the advantage. The bucket of sponges just has the sassiness.
And with its arms, it could grab anything. It could grab a match and light it on fire.
No.
Yeah.
There's no matches.
Yeah, I guess
it's true. It's just the arms.
It's just the arms and the shoulders.
And you never
I didn't comment on the legs. Maybe they both have legs. Maybe neither of them have legs.
He just like dragged.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
How long would it take him to get there?
But then
like a Ren and Stimpy
But then the sassy comebacks are just like ricocheting from every direction.
No, yeah, and it would be like that scene in The Silence of the Lambs where Hannibal Lecter gets the dude in the other cell to swallow his tongue just by using his words. Like depending on how quick
that's exactly what I meant.
Gets there, because you never said.
By the time the Cheerios gets there, it kills itself.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Wow.
I'm envisioning the scene from Toy Story Part 1 where Woody and Buzz land and it's all the fucking the corpse zombie toys that are just, and the one guy's just
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like nail through that.
Yeah.
The darkness.
I remember that was so creepy.
Oh God, it still scares me.
Yeah. So play nice.
Yeah.
Did I talk about the low impact paintball in the last episode?
Talk.
Okay.
I've been talking to people about it recently, so I'm actually would like the information that you have.
Yes.
Ooh.
So basically, I saw an ad on Facebook. So Facebook ads work sometimes. And it said low impact paintball. So I clicked on it, and there's basically a paintball place in Toronto that has been open for a while doing regular paintball. But they've recently introduced low impact paintball, which is basically they splat easier so that you don't get like giant welts on you. It's children friendly. It's corporate friendly, which I imagine will make them lots of money because I could see as a corporate person not wanting to bring my staff to fucking paintball and then have them have welts on their faces for the next Monday at the office, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they said very corporate friendly, very kid
Randy
friendly.
was really aggressive.
Randy's just like, die, Carol!
Definitely crossed some lines.
Shooting Carol in the head. But yeah, I'm actually super stoked for that as well. And I actually went to their website and you know how sometimes a little bubble pops up at the bottom? It's like, how can we help you today? And I'm like, I heard about your low impact paintball, and it was like, oh, haha, cool. It was definitely like a dude who worked at the place.
Yeah,
it wasn't just
totally.
like a call center or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm going to talk about it on my podcast. And he's like, cool, tag us in it if you talk about it on the podcast. So it's called DEF CON Paintball Toronto. I have not been there yet, but it sounds dope.
Let's go.
And I think that anybody who's likes the idea of paintball, but is not into giant welts on their face should check it out.
I'm bad at video games.
Yeah.
I'm pretty bad at sports. Not like really bad, but I'm pretty bad at sports. So I sort of assumed that I'd be bad at two things, VR and laser tag. But then we went to laser tag last year for my birthday, and I placed first. No, I placed second, but like something like
30.
Yeah, I had like 30 people, and everyone had like whatever, 700, 800, 900, and I had 3,000.
Oh.
But then there was like a 12-year-old kid with like 9,000.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but compare that to any other video game where I can't play for more than 12 seconds without falling off the ledge or just getting sniped. I suck at everything.
Yeah.
So that was it. It stuck with me when I remember I left, and I'm like, I'm good at laser tag. Like, why am I good at laser tag? I shouldn't be, considering I suck at hockey and I suck at video games, and you know what I mean? But I think it's because I kick into like survival-y mode, and you kind of really, it's a different thing than different thing. You know what I mean? And then we went to VR, and I won't say I'm good at it because it takes some time to get used to the thing, but I connected with it in a way that I hear other people talk about video games, but I do not connect with video games.
Yeah.
And again, similarly, I think it's because it's immersive.
Yeah.
So what I'm building to is I imagine paintball is immersive because you're in it, you're shooting, there's things flying at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna like it a lot. So I really want to fucking go.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah. There's so many like extra things with playing video games and even playing sports as well. Like you cited hockey as an example, but it's like you got to learn how to skate.
Yeah.
And then you learn how to do the sports shit.
I think my ADD doesn't allow me to focus on like those particular skills.
Yeah, yeah.
what
But
I mean?
if you get a gun, I mean, it's a laser gun. But if you get a gun, all you got to do is shoot. You know what I mean? Like and then you have to associate when you're playing a video game that the circle button is now the attack and the X. You know what I mean? It's just you're just getting a trigger and a light.
Disconnect through the controller in particular, using that example, it just takes me out of my head of thinking about strategy, because I'm really great at strategy and optimization and thinking about what's likely and unlikely and running percentages. I'm good at that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm so focused on the buttons and what they mean that I can't really get into that mode that I can get into in a board game or something else, you know? And I think you're right. I think with the trigger, this is really easy. And so I immediately can focus more on where would they go? Where should I go? Like the things, it's more strategic. I can focus on the strategy now.
Yeah.
Because this is easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
But you guys have never done paintball before?
Never, ever. I really want to, though.
Yeah. Low impact paintball would be sweet. I did regular paintball once. And
Does it hurt?
Never again. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then I got dressed up like crazy. Like I wore winter jackets and like jerseys and stuff. And then I couldn't take, I had no pain if they shot me in the chest, because I guess that's where the most padding was. Sure. And so they were using me to like test out the guns, but I held my arms out like this, and I got one right in the back knee of the elbow. Don't even know what that's called. And it just fucking ruined me.
Wow.
Just ruined me. Yeah.
Just like,
No doubt.
yeah.
not ready for that.
Yeah. Well, it won't be like that with the low impact paintball at DEF CON paintball.
And it's in Toronto?
It's in Toronto, yeah. Might be like Etobicoke or something, but it's Toronto.
We're going.
That's how you say it.
Etobicoke?
Oh my God.
Etobicoke?
Yeah, I've been, yeah.
I was born at Etobicoke General Hospital.
Really?
Yep. Little known fact. But I mean, it's known by a few people, but they're all pretty little.
Is there anything else that has like a silent K? Is that like a native word or something?
I don't know.
Etobicoke?
I mean, I'm sure there's other words in the language with a silent K, but like knowledge being one of them.
Well, I mean, at the beginning, but at the end like that,
Yeah,
where it's like
not that I can
Coke
think of.
and then you don't pronounce the K. Anyways.
Email us at damagegoodspot@gmail.com and let us know if you know words with a silent K at the end of the word.
Shout out to words.
Shout out to words with silent Ks.
The call to action is always something really bad that no one would ever want to talk to us about.
If you know words with silent letters, email us.
If you think the cereal or the bucket of sponges should have won, send us an email.
Call to actions are always
Are
so
you a bucket of
crazy.
sponges? Did we misrepresent you? Send us an email.
They'd never be that malicious. Buckets of sponges.
How you feeling?
Okay.
You all right? Should I, oh, hello. Should I keep going?
If you have another topic, I'm down for one more.
I mean, I've got, so let's do a short one. So a kid filmed his teacher in class screaming at one of the students saying, "Your dirty ass needs to take a bath, get the fuck out of my classroom." And the kid who took the video got suspended for filming in the classroom, and the teacher did not get in trouble.
Yeah, well, because everyone knows that Jacob does stink and does need a shower. So nobody was mad at the teacher. They're just like, yeah, she's right. Jacob smells like shit.
This went viral, so I'm sure the teacher has since gotten in trouble. But I just brought that up as a preface
Preface, yeah?
to the question: what is the most trouble that you've ever gotten to at school?
Great question. Do you have an answer right away or no?
No, I got to think on it. I was a goody two shoes.
Okay, so let me tell you my story because I got a good one.
Okay. Did you tell someone suck it? Because that's how you got in a lot of trouble when you
I've
were a
gotten
kid.
a lot of suck it trouble in my life, but this is
He said suck it a lot.
I said suck it as I ran away from home and my parents were not pleased. But that's a story for another podcast. So today I'm going to tell you guys the story. Let me tell you, part 1A and 1B, they happened in the same semester, and it was like my school was very concerned. So the first thing that happened was a school assembly, and there was this girl, and every assembly she would sing, and she wasn't good. And I think she had a learning disability or something. But
Oh, no.
no, but she wasn't handicapped. Like I spoke with her all the time. She was something was up, and I was too young to really know what was up. I know that's not the right way to say it, but you know, it's like there was something going on, but I didn't know what it was. But she was not handicapped because I remember. I only say all this because this is what ran through my mind before I made the decision to do the thing that I did. So every time she would go up, and then the teachers would basically force us to give like a standing ovation, like. And make this big deal, and it was like long and slow. And so this year she did like a Jewel song, that like for 7 minutes, and it was so bad. So I just did this. I did an ironic this.
Oh, that's not too bad. Actually,
I was
That's nice.
tackled by the vice principal,
Wow.
and he said two things: A, even if you weren't bullying,
Yeah.
that's against the rules. You could be suspended.
Yeah.
Two, I know what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah.
It was ironic.
I know you were being ironic.
I was suspended.
Wow. I think that's a pretty harsh punishment for that.
Yeah, but tell me, it was a pretty good joke, though, no? It's
Yeah, but
pretty
also-
subtle, good
That's
joke,
good,
though,
yeah.
no?
Do you know what I would argue, though? That every time a slow song comes on, whether someone's good at singing it, bad at singing it, someone
That's a
in the
joke.
audience does that as a joke.
But it was,
so
I did.
I'm surprised that you would get in
Here's
that
the
much
thing.
trouble.
It's because everyone felt the temperature in the room, and we all felt the same thing. She's
Oh,
not
God.
good, and oh
Yeah.
God. So when my lighter went up, he knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like a response to the feeling we all could sort of feel. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I come back from that suspension, and I'm in my drama class, and someone says, "Hey, we need somebody to do like skits on the morning announcements."
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of us sign up to write like a skit to go on the
I
board.
remember these.
Yeah. So
Not yours specifically.
Yeah. So I was like, "You went to my school, babe?" Wow. So the other 2, I don't even know what they were. They were normal. We did a whole thing. I can't remember what the skit was, but the premise of the skit was please, can the OAC girls choir stop singing on the morning announcements? It was like a whole like thing about how they were ruining our mornings, because every morning they would go on there and it was like very self-serving. It feels like, you know, the person who goes up for karaoke like 30 times. It was like every morning they went on and sang another song and they weren't good. It was like 4 girls who started a club themselves and went on every morning to sing their favorite songs. And we all had to listen to it. And I remember being like, this is, later on I would call it like, it's like very like self-serving energy. You see a lot at like rap shows or like karaoke where someone just really wants this attention. And so we just did this like long limerick or like joke that ended with the last request is that the girls please stop singing to us in the morning. And we got in so much trouble. The principal came to the drama class. I remember he knocked on the door and he was just like speaking to the teacher, and they called me out and they were just like, were you the gentleman who made the announcement? Anyways, it's like...
I'm surprised with that too, because it's like, I remember in high school, it was always very roasty. So like the drama team would roast the sports people, the sports team would roast us. And it was never like, maybe yours felt mean-hearted or mean-spirited.
Well, I think in both cases, they were dry versus like really mean. You know what I mean?
But that's always what it was like. You know, it would be like, oh, can so-and-so please stop dancing at the whatever assembly? You know what I mean? Like,
anyways, I stand behind them. I think they were...
I stand behind you.
I thought they were both subtle enough that this man, let me make a statement about it. They were subtle. So the reason I got in trouble was because I was right.
Yeah.
Because I was right, the whole school died.
He can't be right.
Well, no, but they all died laughing, because if you say the thing that everyone's thinking, then that's the definition of...
Oh, so when you did the lighter thing, did everyone laugh?
Oh, they died.
Oh, okay, of course. That's why you got in trouble. That's why you got in trouble.
Because it was like, it just broke the tension. It was like the thing that we were all thinking is like, this was the furthest thing from a legend. So when I started treating her like this amazing artist, I think I put it up, and if I recall, 2 other people put their lighters up, and then like maybe 80 people laughed or some type thing, you know what I mean? And I got tackled. And then the second time it was, I'd left, and I remember people were like cheering as I went back to the classroom because they were like dying laughing that I like... They were just the kids that were annoying the fuck out of all of us in the morning, and I said the thing, you know what I mean? So I think if I had not been right, they probably wouldn't have gotten noticed. But because I nailed it, because my fucking roast was so fucking spot on, they had to take me out, man. Anyways,
you would have killed at Ernesttown. You would have killed. I had a teacher once when I said I wanted to be a movie star. He said I have more of a face for radio.
Oh, that's
like
nice.
Your roasting would have killed at my high school.
So now the question comes to you: what's the most trouble you ever got in school?
Okay, so this is kind of, I never actually got in trouble for this. Like there were no repercussions or anything, but I sort of extorted a supply teacher once.
I love this.
Okay, so we had this one supply teacher. It was so.
What did they supply you with?
So
that's where the extortion comes in.
Yeah. Okay. So in Ernesttown, we have a human rights course, or we had a human rights course. I'm 23 years old. I've been in high school for a while now. We had a human rights course, but because human rights is like, our teacher would be the head of the division, even though there's only one human rights course, she would have to go away a lot. So we would get this recurring supply teacher as opposed to, okay, we're just going to give you a new guy every week. We had this regular guy that came in. He was an older gentleman. He wasn't all there. Like, no disrespect to anybody that has any type of issue or anything. Sure. But he wasn't all there. And he would do this thing where he would like go off on these huge like you know what? We're bringing it full circle again. He would do these Alex Jones rants.
That's our quota. No more Alex Jones references.
He would do these rants where he'd talk about how like, you know, Hitler was bad, but like he did the whole Volkswagen thing, and he's responsible for 400 series highways. So like he's not really that bad. And we did an exam, and he did the same exam and handed his into the teacher and forgot to hand in our exam, and he wanted to be graded by our teacher. So he was a little bit off. And anyways, it was like the last couple, I had started doing gigs, so I had started making a little bit of money, which is like, again, big fish, small pond in Kingston. And so I was going out with a couple of friends, and I knew the bouncers in this nightclub. I got in without them checking my ID. And so I'm walking around and just kind of like nursing a beer, and I all of a sudden see this teacher who was not young. He was like a 65-year-old man up on the dance floor, killing it, but grinding with ladies who are not 60 to 65 years of age. Wow. So I didn't snipe any pictures. I didn't like do anything. I wasn't going to like hold him hostage or anything, but I came in because it was nearing my victory lap. And I came in early to the class, and I just said, I saw you at Stages. I'm not going to be in for the rest of the semester. And he was like, understood. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gangster moves.
Wow.
Gangster moves.
You're like, I didn't get in trouble because
I'm a G. What about you, babe?
First, I'll start by telling a story about the intercom because you had your intercom story. This was not my story, but somebody replaced O Canada with porn, which I found hilarious.
Wow, that's
so basically,
bold.
it started, and they did it the right way too. It started off with O Canada, so that they didn't like stop it right away type thing, and then all of a sudden it was like or whatever, and we were like, what the fuck? And then you were like, and then like it finally shut off. Yeah, so that was amazing. Another prank that somebody did was the school spent like way too much money. Apparently there was like a parent meeting about it on this like new foyer in our front area. It was like totally redone, cost like $1 million or whatever. And there was this one part where it was like stairs that went down to each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For people to hang. It was like a very like 90s hangout. It was like indoors, so we can't smoke. And it was just stairs going into a hole, essentially, like just stairs going down into this little area. And right away when we had it, somebody like brought a hose in and filled it up with water as like a prank. Yeah.
Like a pool type thing.
Like a pool, like a hot tub. And so then they paid more money and got a drain built into the bottom of it. And we're like, if we ever catch who does that or who did that, they're getting expelled.
That person's a legend,
And,
first of all. Let me just
pretty
say
sure
that.
I'm pretty sure both the sex tape person and them, who are probably the same people, never got caught.
Wow.
So that's not my story, but I thought that was worth sharing.
I really enjoy it.
It's really good.
The worst trouble I got in, it's not really that bad. I like to draw a lot, and I would always draw. I think I have a little bit of ADD as well, because drawing definitely helped me focus in class. Like I found that if I was just have to like sit there and look at the teacher, I would just like start daydreaming and stuff. But if I was able to draw, I could still listen to them, but I'd have my hands busy, which is still kind of, I'd bite my nails and stuff. So
gets the nervous energy out.
it definitely, I definitely have that nervous energy, and I like to draw. So I would always draw. And I was in this applied math class with is at my second school, which had all the bad kids, like all the like fighting kids, all the drug dealer kids.
They're all shipped to that school?
It was like all,
It was like the Australia of the
it was just on
Welland area.
the east side of Welland. So I was in a really bad class and I didn't talk to anyone. This was like a class where I didn't know anyone, and I just was quiet to myself drawing my little pictures. And I remember this one day specifically, everyone was like, it was like those bad classes in the shows where everyone's like yelling and throwing stuff, and there's like paper airplanes, spitballs. Like it was
Someone's like changing the teacher's name on the chalkboard.
Yeah, totally. It was like that. And I was in the corner drawing, and the teacher chose me to pick on. And I really, Mr. DeMartle, fuck you.
Mr. DeMartle?
Mr. DeMartle. Some people really liked him.
DeMartle?
DeMartle, yeah.
Fuck you, Mr. DeMartle.
Yeah. He's a drummer in a band, which is why a lot of people really
That
liked
band
him.
probably sucks.
No, they did really well. Actually, they were a Beatles cover band, and they were like super lit and like famous in Welland. Anyways, so
They already sound like they suck.
he chose me to pick on, and basically is like, give me that drawing. And I was like, no. And he was like, give it to me right now. And I was like, no. And so he went to go grab it, and I grabbed it, and I like full on like shoulder like pushed him. I was like, don't fuck my shit. And he was like, get out or whatever. And then I went to the principal's office or whatever, and they were like, just go back tomorrow and don't say anything.
Oh, that's not too
what they
bad.
said. So then I was just like, okay. So I just walked in, and then nothing happened.
That's not too bad.
I don't know. That's my worst story.
Fuck you, Mr. DeMartle.
I could have gotten more trouble because he could have told them that I pushed him, but he probably knew he was being a dick and picking on the girl who wouldn't defend herself rather
that's what
than
it was.
picking on the drug dealers who might fight him.
I bet you what happened is that this past summer, the Beatles cover band he's in kicked him out because he's getting kind of old and isn't able to really rock like he used to.
And he's fucking Ringo. No one cares about Ringo.
And they replaced him with a younger, better substitute teacher from another school in Welland, and ever since he's been pretty miserable.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of feel bad for him now.
Yeah, now I do too.
Sorry, Mr. DeMartle. I hope things get better for you.
Yeah.
So that's Damaged Goods Podcast, episode 32. I think we didn't talk too much about your podcast, but we did talk about that it's your main shit. So let's talk about it for a brief second so that the real people who fuck around with podcasts who are listening right now know what's up. It's a one-man podcast most of the time, right? It's you on some like Bill Burr shit almost.
Yeah, it's basically me like trying to work out material. Sometimes I talk about music, sometimes I talk about behind the scenes
A little bit of ranting.
Yeah, it's mostly rants and shit. Yeah.
I like it a lot. It's called Brown Sound Podcast.
Yeah.
Is that what it is on socials? Brown Sound Podcast?
All at Brown Sound Pod.
At Brown Sound Pod.
Yeah.
And obviously you're on all the podcast apps. People can type in Brown Sound Podcast and find you.
Oh, heck yeah.
How many episodes are there?
Coming up on 51. I'm recording it in my car on the way home.
I love that. That's very, very cool. Yeah. So you're probably the guy who goes hardest on the podcast scene of the people I know.
Oh, thanks.
There's a lot of people that dabble. We're trying to do it really consistently. And then when I look around and see who else is doing it consistently, you are.
Yeah.
Not that I'm any kind of approval, but you know what I mean? Like I see you just regularly week in, week out, promoting, ranting. I check some of the clips and it's like make good points and they're funny. And so I'm really happy that you came down
Thanks,
here.
brother. Yeah, thanks.
So if people listen to podcasts and you fuck with that one man like Bill Burr energy where it's like that, it's less about a chat and more about you like riffing on the idea and it kind of like spiraling into something. You can really see you like work through the idea and get to like these funny points.
Yeah.
And so if you like that, like Chris D'Elia does that same type of format. So they're really, really popular. You're the only guy I know in Canada who's doing that style professionally like this right now. So if you fuck with that, listen to my man Logan Brown. Also, you have music out where if people want to peep your music, where's that available?
It's all on, you can find it on Spotify and everything like that. You can just go to TaylorAngusMusic.com if you want to check out some of that stuff.
Love it. We're Damaged Goods Pod. I'm at Ill Vibe everywhere. You're at For Jess Robert.
That's correct.
I've stolen your job for the end of this episode.
Yes. Come to my comedy show if you're in the Hamilton area. Actually, this will come out after that. So I guess check out my videos on my Instagram because I post some of my comedy videos on Instagram, which is at For Jess Robert.
Yeah. Check out Jess's Instagram to check out the comedy videos. And also, I think a good thing in general is if you're listening to this and you're like, I'd totally go watch her do comedy. Follow you on Instagram because you're going to start announcing more and more of the shows that you're doing.
For sure.
And people can come out and check it out.
Yeah.
And fuck with some local comedy. Peace out. I love you. June 21st in Toronto, Hard Luck Bar is my big annual show. Everybody can come for free. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the vibes. I'm headed off to Europe next week. I'll be back. We got stories. Peace out. Bang, bang.